How to Speak Like a True Leader. Master the Art of Influence. Written and published by Echo Tales. Introduction. The voice that moves people. Your voice has power. It can open doors. It can build trust. It can move people to act. Every great leader knows this truth. The way you speak can shape how others see you, follow you, and believe in you. Leadership is not just about authority. It's about influence. The ability to reach minds, touch hearts, and guide others toward a shared vision. Think about the voices that changed your life. Maybe it was a teacher who believed in you, a friend who gave you courage, or a leader whose words lit a fire inside you. What they all had in common wasn't just knowledge. It was the power to speak with clarity, confidence, and purpose. This book is about mastering that power. It's not about fancy language or memorized scripts. It's about learning how to speak so people listen, and more importantly, so they feel. Whether you're leading a team, speaking to an audience, or having a simple conversation, your words matter. They can inspire or confuse, build bridges or walls, lift people up or shut them down. Every word you choose carries weight. In this audiobook, you'll learn how to use your voice as a true leader does, with calm authority, genuine connection, and lasting impact. We'll explore how tone, pacing, and presence shape influence. You'll discover how to tell stories that inspire, handle pressure with confidence, and speak in a way that earns respect. Each chapter is designed to help you speak with purpose and authenticity. You'll learn how to listen deeply, respond wisely, and connect emotionally, all through the art of communication. By the end of this journey, you'll not only sound like a leader, you'll think, feel, and communicate like one. You'll know how to use your words to move people toward a vision, a mission, or a dream that truly matters. Because leadership isn't about titles or power, it's about influence. And influence begins with the voice that speaks it into existence. So take a deep breath, clear your mind, and prepare to unlock one of the most powerful skills in the world, the ability to speak like a true leader. Chapter 1. The Leader's Language. Words shape worlds. Every great movement, every act of courage, every lasting change began with someone who knew how to speak with purpose. Leadership starts there, not in authority, not in power, but in language. The way you speak defines the way people see you. It's the first signal of how you think, how you lead, and what you stand for. A true leader uses language not to dominate, but to elevate, not to impress, but to inspire. The hidden power of everyday words. Imagine two leaders standing before the same team. One says, "We have a problem." The other says, "We have a challenge, and together we'll find the best solution." Both describe the same situation, but their words create two very different emotional worlds. The first invites worry, the second invites action. That's the power of language. It turns fear into focus. It transforms confusion into clarity, and it turns followers into believers. The words you choose shape how people feel, think, and respond. A single phrase can lift morale or crush motivation. A simple tone can open hearts or close them. Leaders understand this, and they use their language carefully, like a craftsman uses his tools. Speaking from vision, not reaction. Most people speak from reaction. Leaders speak from vision. When you speak from reaction, your words follow emotion. When you speak from vision, your words lead emotion. That difference changes everything. Think of Martin Luther King Jr. He didn't say, "I'm frustrated with the system." He said, I have a dream. That's the language of leadership. The language that paints a future people can see, feel, and believe in. You don't need to lead a nation to use that kind of language. You can apply it in your daily life, with your team, your clients, your family. Every time you speak, you have a choice. Will your words describe the problem, or will they describe the possibility? How leaders speak differently. Leaders speak differently because they think differently. They use language that lifts, unites, and directs. Here are 3 subtle ways they do it. First, leaders use words that clarify, not confuse. They remove unnecessary complexity. They don't try to sound smart. They try to make others understand. Clarity builds trust. Second, leaders use inclusive language. They say we, not me. They invite others into the vision instead of claiming credit. People follow those who make them feel part of something bigger. Third, leaders use words that energize. They speak with belief. Their tone says, we can do this. Even in difficulty, their language carries hope. It's not blind optimism. It's conviction. Story. The CEO who changed one word. A few years ago, a young CEO faced a struggling company. Sales were falling. The team was tired and uninspired. In his first meeting, he began with a simple question. What's wrong? He heard a list of problems: the market, the competition, the economy. Then one day, he changed the question. He asked, what's possible? That one word changed everything. Instead of focusing on limits, the team started focusing on opportunities. Ideas surfaced, energy returned, and within months, performance improved. That's the leader's language in action. It changes direction, not just words. When you shift your language, you shift your culture. The tone that builds trust. Words matter, but tone builds trust. You can say the right thing the wrong way and lose connection, or say a simple thing with warmth and gain loyalty. A leader's tone is calm under pressure, measured, not mechanical, firm but not forceful. People listen differently when they feel respected. They tune in when your voice carries balance, confidence without ego, authority without aggression. You can command attention without demanding it. Try this the next time you speak. Slow down just a little. Let your words breathe. Let your tone show certainty and care at the same time. That's how trust begins. Not through volume but through presence. Choosing words that move people. Every leader eventually learns this truth. People rarely remember every word you said, but they always remember how you made them feel. When you speak, ask yourself, am I creating fear or faith? Am I spreading confusion or clarity? Am I lifting people higher or pulling them down? The language of leadership builds confidence in others. It turns I can't into we can. It turns what now into what's next. And that shift, subtle as it may be, creates momentum. Use action words like build, grow, create, move, believe. They ignite energy. They tell the brain, it's time to act. Your words reflect your inner world. Here's a deeper truth. How you speak is a reflection of how you think. If your language is negative, your outlook probably is too. If your words are hopeful, it means your vision is alive. So if you want to change your language, start by changing your mindset. Begin your day with intention. Decide the kind of energy you want to share. Then let your words become the messenger of that intention. A leader's voice isn't just heard, it's felt. It carries integrity, focus and belief. That's what separates authority from influence. Action steps. Speak like a leader. Let's make this practical. Here are a few ways to strengthen your leadership language starting today. Replace negative words with empowering ones. Instead of saying, I have to, say, I get to. Small shifts create big changes in tone. Simplify your message. Ask yourself, can a 10-year-old understand what I'm saying? If not, make it clearer. Use we more often. It builds unity and shared purpose. Practice thoughtful silence. Pausing before you speak gives power to what follows. End with direction. Every statement should lead somewhere, toward a goal, an idea, or an action. These small habits add up to something powerful, a voice that leads with clarity and confidence. Closing message. The leader's language is not about using fancy words. It's about using the right words, the ones that align with truth, inspire action and build trust. Your voice is a mirror of your leadership. It shows your belief, your vision and your values. When people hear your words, they should feel your purpose. Because in the end, leadership is not about what you say. It's about what your words make others believe they can become. Chapter 2. The Power of Clarity. Clarity is leadership's quiet superpower. It doesn't shout. It doesn't rush. But it always cuts through the noise. In a world filled with endless words, opinions and distractions, clarity is what people crave most. Clarity creates calm. Clarity builds confidence. Clarity turns confusion into direction. When your message is clear, people move. When it's cloudy, people pause. And in leadership, that pause can cost progress. Why clarity matters more than confidence. People often think leadership begins with confidence, but real confidence comes from clarity. When you know exactly what you mean, your tone becomes steady, your presence becomes strong, your message feels real. Clarity is what gives your words weight. It makes people trust you, not because you're loud or polished, but because you're understood. Think about it. You can follow a calm, clear voice, even in chaos, but you can't follow someone who sounds unsure, even if they speak louder. Clarity is what separates noise from direction. The story of the lighthouse. There's a story of two sailors caught in a storm. The waves were violent. The wind was fierce. One sailor shouted, "I can't see where we're going." The other pointed and said, "Look for the light." Far away through the fog was a single lighthouse. Steady, unmoving, clear. That light guided them safely to shore. Leaders are like that lighthouse. Their clarity cuts through confusion. When everything seems uncertain, their words provide a point of focus, something steady to follow. Your clarity is someone else's calm. Never forget that. When communication becomes complicated, many leaders lose their audience because they try too hard to sound smart. They use complicated words, long explanations and endless details. But the harder they try to impress, the less people understand. Clarity isn't about sounding intelligent. It's about making others feel intelligent. It's about giving people the gift of understanding. Albert Einstein once said, "If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough." That truth applies to leadership more than anywhere else. When you strip away the clutter from your message, what remains is truth. And truth, spoken clearly, always carries power. The 3 levels of clarity. To speak clearly, you must first think clearly. Clarity has 3 levels: inner, verbal, and emotional. Inner clarity begins with knowing what you believe. If your vision is vague, your voice will be too. Take time to define what matters to you and where you want to go. Verbal clarity is about expressing that vision in simple, direct words. Avoid jargon. Avoid long, tangled sentences. Speak as if you're guiding a friend through fog. Emotional clarity means being honest about your intent. Why are you saying this? What emotion do you want your listeners to feel? Confidence, urgency, hope. When your emotion is clear, your message resonates. All three work together. Without inner clarity, your words sound empty. Without verbal clarity, your ideas get lost. Without emotional clarity, your tone feels hollow. Example: the vision that fell flat. A company once launched a campaign with this statement: "Our mission is to leverage cross-platform integration to enhance consumer-driven experiences through scalable innovation." It sounded impressive, but no one knew what it meant. 6 months later, they rewrote it. Now it said, "We help people save time every day with simple technology that works." Same mission, different impact. Clarity turned confusion into connection. That's the difference between sounding important and being understood. How to create clarity in your message. Clarity isn't luck, it's discipline. Here's how leaders sharpen it. 1. Start with the end in mind. Before you speak, ask yourself, what do I want them to feel or do after hearing this? This question forces your message to have purpose. 2. Use fewer words with more meaning. Short, strong sentences are easier to remember. Instead of saying, "We are trying to explore potential solutions," say, "We're finding what works." 3. Repeat your core message often. People don't remember everything you say, but they remember what you repeat with conviction. Say it simply, say it again, and say it like it matters. 4. Remove filler language. Words like basically, actually, and kind of weaken your impact. Cut them out and speak with intention. 5. Paint mental pictures. Use clear examples or short stories. Clarity is visual. The more people can see what you mean, the more they understand. The power of silence in clarity. Clarity doesn't mean talking more. It often means saying less, and letting silence do its work. When you pause, people think. When you pause, your message sinks in. And when you pause, your confidence grows. Great communicators use silence as punctuation. They give space for ideas to breathe. They trust the listener to absorb meaning without rushing. Remember, clarity isn't speed, it's precision. Clarity builds connection. People follow clarity because it feels safe. They know where they stand. They know what to expect. Think about a leader giving directions during a crisis. If they sound clear, people stay calm. If they sound uncertain, panic spreads. Your clarity creates emotional stability. It tells people, "You can trust me. I know where we're going." And that kind of confidence is contagious. When you speak clearly, others begin to believe more clearly too. The daily practice of clarity. Clarity grows with practice. Try this exercise. At the end of each day, take a moment to ask yourself 3 questions. What did I communicate today that brought clarity? What did I say that may have caused confusion? How can I simplify my message tomorrow? This small reflection builds awareness. Over time, your language becomes cleaner, sharper, and more effective. Leaders who practice clarity every day don't just speak better, they think better. And better thinking leads to better decisions, better relationships, and better results. Closing message. Clarity is not decoration, it's direction. Your clarity as a leader sets the tone for everything around you. Your team, your message, your mission. When people understand you, they can believe in you. And when they believe in you, they will follow you. Not out of obligation, but out of trust. So make it your goal to speak so simply that your message cannot be misunderstood. Make it your habit to remove the fog from your words. and make it your standard to lead with the kind of clarity that lights the way for others. Because when you speak with clarity, you don't just lead, you guide. And in every great leader's journey, guidance begins with a clear voice and a focused mind. Chapter 3. Mastering your voice. Your voice is more than sound. It's your presence in the air. It carries your thoughts, your energy, and your confidence to others. People don't just hear your words. They feel your voice. It tells them who you are, before your message even begins. That's why mastering your voice is one of the most powerful skills any leader can develop. Your voice can calm a room. It can move people to act. It can turn ideas into emotion. The question is, are you using it with intention, or are you letting it happen by chance? The voice that leads. Every leader you admire has a distinct voice, not just in sound, but in rhythm, tone and presence. Think of Nelson Mandela, soft yet firm. Think of Steve Jobs, deliberate, intense, focused. Or Oprah Winfrey, warm, calm and deeply connected. Each of them spoke differently, yet each inspired millions, because their voice matched their message. Their tone carried truth. Leadership is not about having a perfect voice. It's about having a real voice, one that people trust. Your goal is not to sound like someone else. Your goal is to discover and master your own. The hidden language of tone. Words are only half the message. Tone is the other half, and often the more powerful one. You can say, "I believe in you," in a way that lifts someone up, or you can say the same words flatly, and they'll sound empty. Tone communicates emotion. It tells people how you feel about what you're saying, and how you feel about them. A strong tone doesn't mean a loud voice. It means a voice that carries conviction. Even a whisper, when filled with certainty, can hold more power than a shout. Your tone should reflect three things: confidence, calmness and care. Confidence gives strength. Calmness builds trust. Care creates connection. When those three blend together, people lean in. They listen, not because they have to, but because they want to. The story of the tired speaker. Years ago, a young manager was asked to give her first presentation to senior executives. She prepared perfectly. Slides, data, talking points. But when she spoke, her voice trembled. She rushed through her sentences. Her words were right, but her tone said fear. After the meeting, her mentor told her something simple: your voice will never sound strong until your mind feels safe. That changed everything. The next time she didn't focus on the slides. She focused on breathing, slowing down and believing in her message. Her tone changed. Her voice carried authority, not because it was louder, but because it was grounded. The lesson: your voice follows your state of mind. To master your voice, you must first master your inner world. Breath, the foundation of every great voice. Your breath is the fuel behind your voice. It controls your volume, pace and presence. When you rush your breathing, your voice tightens. When you control your breathing, your voice expands. Take a moment right now. Breathe in deeply through your nose. Hold it for a second. Then release it slowly. Notice how calm you feel. That calmness is what gives your voice depth. It creates the space between your words that makes people listen. Before every important conversation, take 3 deep breaths. Let your body settle before your voice begins. You'll sound clearer, steadier, and far more confident. The power of pace and pause. Your pace is how fast you speak. Your pause is how much space you leave. Most people speak too quickly when they're nervous. They rush afraid of silence. But silence is not your enemy. It's your ally. A pause gives weight to your words. It tells your listener, this matters. It allows them to think, to feel and to connect. Watch any great speaker. They use pauses like punctuation. They breathe between sentences not to fill time but to create rhythm. Try this. After making an important point, pause for 2 seconds. Let the idea land. You'll notice that people lean in, because silence makes them listen harder. Pace and pause turn speaking into music. They create rhythm, emotion and memorability. Finding your true voice. Many people hide behind a voice that isn't theirs. They speak in a tone they think sounds professional or impressive, but it feels forced. And people can sense that. Your true voice is the one that feels effortless. It's the voice you use when you're passionate, sincere, and present. To find it, start noticing when your voice feels most natural. Maybe it's when you're sharing an idea you care about. Maybe it's when you're encouraging someone. That tone, authentic, alive, real, is your true voice. And once you know it, practice bringing it into every setting. Leaders who speak with authenticity don't just communicate. They connect. Because authenticity is magnetic. Voice energy. Speaking with life. Your voice carries energy. That energy determines how people experience you. If your tone is dull, people drift away. If it's frantic, people feel tense. But if your energy is balanced, warm, alive and focused, people trust you. Energy doesn't mean excitement or constant enthusiasm. It means presence. It means being fully there, in the moment, not distracted, not rehearsed. When you speak, picture your voice like a light. You're not blasting it at people. You're illuminating them. The right energy invites attention, not demands it. Practical tools for vocal mastery. Here are some simple ways to strengthen and refine your voice. Record and review yourself. Listen to your tone, speed and energy. Ask yourself, do I sound the way I intend to sound? 2. Warm up your voice. Before a speech or meeting, hum gently, stretch your jaw, and relax your shoulders. Your body affects your sound. 3. Control your volume with intention. Raise your voice to emphasize energy. Lower it to create intimacy. Vocal variety keeps attention alive. 4. Match your tone to your message. Excitement needs lift. Empathy needs softness. Authority needs steadiness. 5. Practice reading aloud. Choose a short text and read it slowly. Focus on breathing, pacing and expression. Over time your speaking rhythm will naturally improve. Voice, emotion and influence. Your voice doesn't just deliver information, it transfers emotion. That's why people remember how you made them feel long after they forget your words. When your voice carries belief, others believe. When it carries doubt, they hesitate. When it carries warmth, they open up. Influence lives in emotion, not logic. And your voice is the bridge that carries emotion into the hearts of others. So speak from emotion, but never let emotion control you. Balance heart with poise. Let sincerity guide your tone and your words will never fall flat. The leader's voice in everyday moments. You don't need a stage to use your voice like a leader. You use it every day. In meetings, in feedback, in family conversations. The way you greet someone, the way you say thank you or how you respond under stress. All of it builds your leadership reputation. Your voice is a daily signal of your mindset. When it's calm, others stay calm. When it's grounded, others feel secure. When it's thoughtful, others feel respected. That's how influence begins. One tone, one word, one moment at a time. Closing message. Mastering your voice is not about sounding perfect. It's about learning to sound authentic, confident and intentional. Your voice is the instrument through which your leadership plays its melody. When you learn to tune it, through breath, tone, pace and presence, your message becomes music to the listener's mind. Never underestimate what your voice can do. It can calm storms. It can ignite courage. It can turn silence into strength. So speak with purpose. Speak with heart. And let your voice become the sound of leadership. Strong, clear, and unforgettable. Chapter 4. The Art of Pausing. Silence is not empty. It's full of meaning. In a world that never stops talking, true leaders understand the power of the pause. They know that what you don't say often carries more weight than what you do. A pause gives shape to your words. It creates rhythm, emotion, and space for understanding. It transforms ordinary speech into something memorable. When used with intention, a pause becomes more than silence. It becomes influence, the hidden strength in stillness. Most people fear silence. They rush to fill every second with sound. They think silence means hesitation or weakness. But to the trained ear, silence signals strength. It says, I am calm, I am composed, I am in control. When a leader pauses, they give everyone else permission to breathe, to think, and to focus. It draws attention, not away from the message, but into it. Think of a pause as punctuation for your leadership voice. Without it, your words blur together. With it, your message lands with power. The story of the unexpected pause. A few years ago, a well-known speaker was delivering a presentation to thousands of people. Midway through, he stopped. No sound, no movement, just silence. At first, the audience grew restless, then curious, then quiet, completely quiet. He stood there for a full 5 seconds, making eye contact with the crowd. Then he said, softly, "That's how long most of you go before checking your phone." The audience laughed, then applauded. That short pause turned an average moment into a powerful connection. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't rush. He used silence as a tool, and it spoke louder than words. Why we avoid silence? Most people fill every gap with words because silence makes them uncomfortable. It feels like a void, like something that must be fixed. But that discomfort is what gives silence its strength. It captures attention. It breaks the rhythm of noise. It makes people listen more closely. When you pause, you're not losing control of the conversation. You're leading it. You're guiding the pace, shaping the emotion, and commanding attention without force. Great communicators don't compete with silence. They cooperate with it. The psychology of the pause. Why does a simple pause have such an impact? Because our brains need space to process meaning. When you speak continuously, people stop listening. Their minds can't keep up. But when you pause, you give them time to think, reflect, and connect your words to their emotions. A pause tells the listener, this part matters. It creates suspense. It builds curiosity. It invites reflection. The human brain responds to contrast, sound and silence, motion and stillness. That's why a pause creates power. It gives your message shape, and your delivery depth. Different types of pauses. Not all pauses are the same. Each serves a different purpose in communication. The reflective pause, used after a powerful statement. It lets your words sink in. Example: trust is earned, not demanded. Pause. The emotional pause, used when emotion fills the moment. It allows the audience to feel before you continue. The strategic pause, used before an important point. It builds anticipation. People lean in, waiting for what's next. The restful pause, used to regain your own composure or control your breathing. It centers you, a simple moment to reset your energy. When you learn to use these pauses intentionally, your speaking gains rhythm and impact. Story. The leader who learned to stop there was a young executive known for talking fast. He spoke with passion but rarely paused. His team respected him, but often felt overwhelmed. One day his mentor said, "You have great ideas, but no one can hear them because you never give them space." He began practicing short pauses between sentences. At first, it felt strange. He feared people would think he forgot his words. But something unexpected happened. People began leaning in. They started nodding. His meetings became shorter, but far more effective. He discovered that when he stopped trying to fill the air, his voice carried farther. His silence had become part of his message. The rhythm of leadership speech. Every great leader has a rhythm. They don't speak in monotone. They move, not fast, not slow, but with flow. Their words breathe. They rise and fall like waves. They let the pause guide the current. Think of your speech like music. Without rests, even the best melody becomes noise. The pause gives music meaning. The same is true in speech. When your words and pauses work together, you don't just speak, you perform a message that people feel. How to practice the pause. Here are some simple ways to strengthen your use of pauses. 1. Read aloud slowly. After every sentence, stop for 2 seconds. Get comfortable with silence. 2. Record yourself. Notice where a pause could make your words stronger. 3. Use the breath rule. Every pause should last at least 1 natural breath. It keeps your pace human and natural. 4. Pause before key phrases. Before saying something important, stop. Let the listener lean in. 5. Embrace moments of quiet during conversation. Don't rush to fill them. Let silence invite depth. These small habits train your voice to move with intention, not impulse. Silence builds presence. Presence is not about speaking constantly. It's about being felt, even when you're not speaking. When you pause, your presence expands. People sense your awareness, your calm, your focus. They feel your leadership. Pausing gives the impression that you're thoughtful, measured, and confident. Qualities that define great leaders. A leader who pauses after being challenged shows composure. A leader who pauses before answering shows wisdom. And a leader who pauses before giving direction shows care. Silence speaks the language of strength. Using pauses to influence emotion. A well-placed pause can change the entire emotional tone of a message. After humor, it allows laughter to breathe. After tragedy, it allows empathy to rise. After inspiration, it allows reflection to settle. When you pause, you give the listener space to feel. You turn words into experience. And that's how influence deepens, not through volume but through timing. The confidence behind the pause. It takes courage to pause, to stand in front of people and say nothing, even for a moment, requires trust in yourself. But that trust is what separates leaders from speakers. Anyone can fill time with words. Few can command silence. Confidence is not the absence of fear. It's the comfort to stand still and let your presence speak. When you reach that point, your silence becomes your signature. Closing message. The art of pausing is the art of presence. It's knowing when to speak and when to let silence do the speaking for you. When used with intention, a pause can build suspense, deepen emotion, and strengthen trust. It can turn communication into connection. Remember, the greatest speeches in history were not great because of the number of words, but because of the spaces between them. So, as you speak, learn to honor the silence. Let your pauses carry purpose. Let your words breathe life. Because in the end, leadership is not only about what you say, it's about the moments between your words that make people listen, think, and believe. Chapter 5. Storytelling that inspires. Every great leader is a storyteller, not because they tell fairy tales, but because they understand that stories shape belief. Facts inform. Stories transform. A good story doesn't just describe an idea. It makes people feel it. It paints a picture in the mind. It connects heart to purpose. And that connection is what moves people to act. When logic stops persuading, story begins inspiring. That's the leader's secret. Why stories matter. People don't remember lists, numbers, or complex instructions, but they remember how a story made them feel. Stories speak the language of emotion. They bypass resistance. They reach the part of the listener that logic cannot. Think about it. Every great movement in history began with a story, a dream, a vision, a promise of something better. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't present a plan. He told a dream. Steve Jobs didn't sell technology. He told a story about changing the world. Malala Yousafzai didn't fight with anger. She shared her story and the world listened. Stories build bridges between people. They turn information into inspiration. The science of storytelling. Here's the truth. Our brains are wired for stories. When you tell a story, something remarkable happens. The listener's brain mirrors yours. They imagine what you describe. They feel what you feel. This is called neural coupling. It means your story literally synchronizes minds. That's why when a leader tells a meaningful story, people don't just hear. They experience. It creates trust, empathy, and emotional unity. You're not transferring data. You're transferring energy. The story of the broken bridge. Let's bring this to life. A few years ago, a small town mayor faced an impossible challenge. A storm had destroyed the main bridge connecting two neighborhoods. Funds were low and frustration was high. At the town hall meeting, he could have shown statistics or budgets. Instead, he told a story. He spoke about a young boy named Daniel who crossed that bridge every morning to go to school. He said, "Right now, Daniel has to walk 2 extra miles each way. He leaves home before sunrise. He gets home after dark. And yet, he still smiles when he arrives at class." Then he paused. He looked at the crowd and said, "We're not fixing a bridge. We're giving Daniel his day back." By the end of the meeting, people weren't thinking about cost. They were thinking about purpose. Volunteers signed up. Donations increased. The bridge was rebuilt within months. That's the power of storytelling. It turns numbers into meaning. It transforms problems into purpose. The 3 elements of a great story. Every story that inspires has 3 parts: emotion, structure, and message. Emotion is what makes people care. Without it, your story is just sound. With it, your story becomes an experience. Structure gives your story shape. It has a beginning, a challenge, and a resolution. It takes people on a journey, from what was to what is to what could be. Message is the truth behind the story. It's what you want the listener to remember and live by. Emotion captures attention. Structure keeps it. Message gives it meaning. When you blend all 3, your story becomes unforgettable. How to tell stories that inspire action. You don't need dramatic experiences to tell great stories. You only need awareness and authenticity. Here are a few steps to make your storytelling powerful and real. 1. Begin with why. Ask yourself, why does this story matter? What truth or lesson do I want people to feel? 2. Keep it human. Use real people, real moments, real feelings. The best stories sound like conversations, not speeches. 3. Create contrast. Show the challenge before the victory. Show the fear before the courage. Without struggle, there's no inspiration. 4. Use sensory detail. Help your listener see, hear, or feel the moment. Don't say it was a tough day. Say the rain was pouring and my hands were shaking as I made the call. 5. End with purpose. Every story should leave the listener changed. End with meaning. Something they can carry with them. Storytelling in everyday leadership. You don't need a stage to use stories. You can use them every day. In meetings, mentoring, or even family conversations. When you share a personal story of failure, it shows humility. When you tell a story of perseverance, it builds courage. When you share a success story, it reinforces belief. Stories humanize leadership. They remind people that you're not just a figure of authority. You're someone who's walked through challenges and learned from them. A short, honest story can shift the entire mood of a conversation. It can turn tension into trust. The story of the two builders. Once two builders were asked to construct a wall. One focused only on the bricks. The other imagined the cathedral that wall would one day support. Years later, when both were asked what they had built, the first said, "I laid bricks." The second said, "I built a house of worship." Both did the same work, but only one saw the story within it. Leaders are like that second builder. They see beyond the task. They see the meaning, and they help others see it too. That's what storytelling does. It lifts people above the ordinary, turning your experience into stories. Your life is full of stories, moments of learning, change and insight. Don't overlook them. Think about times when you overcame fear, helped someone, made a mistake, or found clarity. Each one carries a message worth sharing. When you share those moments with honesty, people connect. They see themselves in your journey. They find courage in your vulnerability. The more authentic your stories, the stronger your influence. Leadership storytelling is not about performance. It's about presence. It's about showing people what's possible through the life you've lived. Storytelling and emotional leadership. Great stories awaken emotion. They remind people of hope, courage and humanity. When you tell a story with heart, you create emotional memory, a feeling that lingers long after the story ends. That's how real influence works. When your story makes someone feel something, they begin to believe something, and belief drives action. A leader who can make people feel has already begun to make them move. Practical exercise. Your signature story. Here's a simple exercise to help you create your own inspiring story. Choose a defining moment, a time that taught you something valuable. Describe the challenge. What made it difficult or uncertain? Share the turning point. What changed? What you realized? Or how you grew? End with a message, the lesson that others can apply in their own lives. Keep it short, keep it real, and tell it with heart. This becomes your signature story, a story that represents who you are as a leader. Every time you share it, it builds trust and connection. Closing message. Storytelling is not decoration. It's communication in its highest form. It's how leaders turn messages into movements. It's how they connect emotion to action. A well-told story can heal, inspire, and unite. It can transform a moment into a mission. So speak with sincerity, tell stories that matter, and let your words carry the weight of truth and feeling. Because when you tell stories that inspire, you're not just sharing ideas, you're shaping the hearts and minds of those who will build the future. Chapter 6. Body Language and Presence. Before you speak a single word, your body has already spoken for you. People notice your posture, they sense your energy, they read your expression, and within seconds, they form an impression, one that often stays with them long after the conversation ends. This is why body language is one of the most powerful tools a leader can master. It does not rely on talent. It does not require perfect physique or dramatic gestures. It simply asks you to be intentional, to show presence, confidence, and clarity without saying a word. Your presence introduces you before your voice does. The silent signal of leadership. Leaders are recognized before they speak, not because of titles, clothing, or status, but because of presence, the quiet signal that says, "I am here, I am aware, and I am ready." Presence is not about dominating a room. It's about grounding yourself in it. It's calm, it's collected, it's steady. People trust a leader who looks centered. They trust someone whose body language shows stability, not tension. Your body is the frame of your voice. The stronger the frame, the stronger the message. The story of the nervous candidate. A young professional once attended an important interview. Her answers were thoughtful. Her experience was strong. But her body language told a different story. She sat on the edge of her chair. Her shoulders were tight. Her hands fidgeted. Her eyes darted around the room. The interviewers later said, "She seemed capable, but she never seemed present." Weeks later she returned to the same company for another role. This time she approached the room differently. She breathed before entering. She walked with steady steps. She maintained eye contact, and allowed herself to settle into the seat. One interviewer whispered to another, "She feels like a leader this time." Same person, same skills, different presence. Her body spoke confidence her words never had before. Presence changes perception. Presence creates connection. Posture, the foundation of presence. Your posture is the first sign of your inner world. When you stand tall, people sense confidence. When you collapse inward, they sense doubt. But posture isn't about looking rigid or stiff. It's about alignment. Head up, chest open, shoulders relaxed. When your body is balanced, your mind becomes steady. You breathe deeper. You speak clearer. You think better. A strong posture doesn't say, "Look at me." It says, "I respect myself and I respect this moment." Try this now. Lift your chest slightly. Relax your shoulders. Lengthen your spine. Breathe deeply. Feel how your mood shifts. Your posture shapes more than your appearance. It shapes your presence. Eye contact. Connection. Without words. Eye contact is one of the strongest forms of silent communication. It creates trust. It shows honesty. It tells people, "I see you. I hear you. I value this moment." But eye contact should feel natural, not intense. Too little feels insecure. Too much feels aggressive. Think of eye contact as a gentle anchor. Steady, warm and confident. When you speak to a group, imagine connecting with the room one person at a time. When you speak to one person, let your gaze reflect calm attention. Leaders don't stare. Leaders connect. Gestures, movement with meaning. Your hands express what your voice cannot. They add color to your message. They show energy, direction and intention. But gestures should be purposeful, not frantic, not distracting. The best gestures are simple and open, palms visible, movements smooth, motions aligned with your message. If you talk about growth, lift your hands slightly upward. If you talk about unity, bring your hands together. If you talk about possibility, open your arms outward. Your gestures should guide the listener, not overwhelm them. When your hands match your words, people feel your meaning more clearly. Presence begins with breath. Leaders breathe differently. They breathe with intention. Shallow breath creates tension. Deep breath creates presence. Before every conversation or meeting, pause for one slow breath. Breath in, hold, release. This simple act calms your nervous system. It grounds your body. It signals confidence before you even speak. Your breath is your anchor. When it's steady, everything else becomes steady too. The power of stillness. Stillness is a rare skill. Most people fidget, shift, tap or move without thinking. These movements leak nervous energy. Leaders use stillness to show control. Not rigid stillness, grounded stillness. The stillness of someone fully present in the moment. When you hold a moment of stillness before speaking, the room quiets. People sense that something meaningful is coming. This controlled stillness builds anticipation. It strengthens the impact of your words. Stillness is not silence of voice. It is silence of movement, and it is magnetic. The story of the calm leader. A senior director was once asked how he remained so composed during heated meetings. He said, "I focus on keeping my body still. If my body is calm, my voice becomes calm. If my voice is calm, the room becomes calm." He understood a powerful truth. Presence is contagious. When your body language shows stability, others borrow your calm. They trust your leadership because they trust your energy. This is why presence matters. It creates an emotional environment. Your body sets the tone long before your words do. Energy and authenticity. Your presence is not just physical, it's emotional, it's energetic. People sense whether you are engaged or distracted. They sense whether you are authentic or pretending. They sense whether you are confident or insecure. Your energy communicates faster than your speech. Authentic presence is gentle but strong. It's warm but grounded. It's human but intentional. You don't need to perform confidence. You only need to show up fully, open, aware, and engaged. When you're authentic, your body language aligns naturally. When you're present, people feel safe with you. Practical ways to strengthen your presence. Here are simple techniques to build strong natural presence. 1. Walk into every room with awareness. Don't rush. Don't freeze. Enter with calm purpose. 2. Take one deep breath before speaking. Let your breath settle your mind and soften your body. 3. Hold your posture with ease. Straight but relaxed. Strong but comfortable. 4. Keep your gestures open. Show your palms. Move with intention. 5. Make eye contact that feels warm, not forced. Think connection, not performance. 6. Practice stillness during tense moments. Stillness signals authority and confidence. 7. Align your body with your message. Let your posture, voice, and words support one another. Small adjustments make a big difference. Body language grows through awareness, not effort. Closing message. Your body speaks long before your words do. It tells the world who you are, how you feel, and whether you believe in your message. Great leaders master their presence not by pretending, but by aligning their body, mind, and message into one clear expression of confidence. Stand with intention, move with purpose, breathe with awareness, And let your presence communicate the strength and clarity of your leadership. Because when your body language speaks leadership, your words don't have to work as hard. Chapter 7. Speaking with Emotional Intelligence. Great leaders don't just speak. They connect. They understand that words alone aren't enough. What truly moves people is emotion, the invisible thread that ties message to meaning. Emotional intelligence is the ability to sense, understand, and manage both your emotions and the emotions of others. It's what separates a speaker who informs from a leader who inspires. When you speak with emotional intelligence, you don't just share ideas. You build bridges. The heart behind every word. Every conversation has two layers. The words you say, and the emotion you carry underneath them. People respond far more to the second. Think of someone who once encouraged you when you were struggling. You probably don't remember every word they said, but you remember how they made you feel. That's emotional intelligence in action. It's not about control or manipulation. It's about awareness of yourself, of others, and of the emotional energy flowing between you. Words reach the mind, emotion reaches the heart, and leadership lives where those two meet. Story of the two managers. Two managers had the same problem. A team that missed a deadline. The first manager walked in frustrated. His tone was sharp. His words were cold. He said, "You've let me down again. This can't keep happening." The team lowered their heads. They felt blamed, not motivated. The second manager faced the same situation. He entered the room calmly. He said, "I know this setback feels discouraging, but I also know this team is capable of better. Let's figure out what went wrong and fix it together." The difference was emotional intelligence. The first reacted. The second responded. And that small difference changed the team's entire mood. From defense to cooperation. The 4 pillars of emotional communication. To speak with emotional intelligence, you need awareness in 4 key areas. 1. Self-awareness. Know what you feel before you speak. Your tone reflects your emotions more than your words do. If you're angry, calm yourself first. If you're anxious, breathe before you begin. 2. Self-regulation. Learn to control how your emotions show up. You don't have to suppress them, just guide them. Strong emotions can fuel your message, but only when channeled with balance. 3. Empathy. Feel what others might be feeling. When you speak with empathy, your words meet people where they are, not where you expect them to be. That's how connection begins. 4. Relationship awareness. Every interaction shapes your reputation. People remember how you make them feel in moments of pressure. When you lead with emotional intelligence, you build trust that lasts far beyond a single conversation. These 4 pillars create the foundation of every emotionally intelligent message. Understanding emotional tone. Your emotional tone is the mood behind your message. It's not what you say, it's how it feels when you say it. Even a simple sentence can shift meaning based on tone. "I'm fine," said with warmth, it reassures. Said with tension, it hides frustration. Said softly, it shows sadness. Your listeners pick up on tone faster than words. That's why awareness matters. Before you speak, check your emotional temperature. Ask yourself, what emotion do I want this message to carry? Calm, hope, determination. Then shape your tone to match that purpose. Tone sets the emotional direction of your leadership. The story of the teacher and the student. A teacher once noticed a student who had stopped participating in class. Instead of scolding him for being distracted, she simply said, "You seem quieter than usual. Are you okay?" He hesitated, then said his family was moving, and he was scared of starting over. The teacher listened. No judgment, no advice, just presence. Weeks later, the student began engaging again. He later said, "It wasn't what she said. It was how she said it." That is emotional intelligence in leadership. It's listening beyond the words. It's seeing people, not just their performance. The art of listening with emotion. Speaking with emotional intelligence starts with listening. Most people listen to reply. Leaders listen to understand. When you truly listen, you hear tone, rhythm and emotion, not just sentences. You notice the pauses, the sighs, the hesitation between words. To listen with emotional intelligence, stay silent while others speak. Listen for feeling, not just facts. Reflect what you sense. Say things like, "It sounds like this has been frustrating," or "I can tell this matters to you." When people feel heard, they open up, and when they open up, influence naturally grows. Emotional control in difficult conversations. Leadership often requires hard conversations, feedback, conflict, disagreement. These are the moments that test your emotional intelligence most. If you react impulsively, you lose trust. If you respond thoughtfully, you gain respect. Here's a simple method. Pause, breathe, then speak. That pause gives your emotions time to settle. It shifts your focus from reaction to intention. When you respond calmly, even in tension, people see you as composed and trustworthy. Your voice becomes the calm center in a storm. And that is leadership in its purest form. Empathy as a leadership language. Empathy is not weakness. It's awareness. It's strength guided by compassion. When you speak with empathy, you don't lower standards. You raise understanding. Empathy doesn't say, "You're right." It says, "I see you." It turns conversation into connection. A leader with empathy doesn't avoid difficult truths. They deliver them with humanity. They say, "This needs to improve, and I'll help you get there," instead of "You failed." Empathy transforms correction into collaboration, aligning emotion with message. The most powerful leaders align emotion with intention. They don't fake enthusiasm. They don't hide fear. They channel both into purpose. When you speak about hope, let your tone lift. When you speak about loss, let your tone soften. When you speak about challenge, let your tone steady. Authenticity creates trust, and trust creates influence. You don't need to sound positive all the time. You only need to sound real. Real emotion, delivered with care, moves people more than perfect words ever will. Building emotional awareness daily. Here are a few practical ways to strengthen your emotional intelligence as a speaker and leader. Reflect before you respond. Notice your emotional triggers, and learn to pause before reacting. 2. Journal what you felt, not just what happened. Emotional awareness grows through reflection. 3. Ask others how they perceive your tone. You'll discover gaps between what you intend and what people feel. 4. Practice empathy in small ways. A kind word, a patient pause, a simple acknowledgement. They build emotional awareness. 5. End your day with this question. Did I make someone feel valued today? That one habit transforms both your relationships and your reputation. Closing message. Speaking with emotional intelligence isn't about being perfect. It's about being present. It's about tuning into the emotions beneath your words, and guiding them with wisdom and care. When your speech carries empathy, understanding and authenticity, people listen differently. They feel safe. They feel seen. They feel inspired to follow your lead. Emotional intelligence turns communication into connection. It transforms moments into meaning. So speak with awareness. Listen with empathy, and let your emotions serve your purpose, not control it. Because when your heart leads your words begin to lead the world. Chapter 8. The Language of Persuasion. Persuasion is not about pushing, it's about guiding. It's the art of helping people see what you see, and feel why it matters. When done right, persuasion doesn't feel like persuasion at all. It feels like clarity. It feels like truth. True leaders don't force agreement. They create alignment. They use words that awaken belief, not resistance. The language of persuasion isn't manipulation. It's communication with purpose. The heart of persuasion. At its core, persuasion is emotional, not logical. People make decisions based on feeling, and then justify them with reason. That means your words must speak to both the heart and the mind. Facts may catch attention, but emotion moves action. Think about a cause you deeply care about. When you talk about it, you don't need to memorize lines. You speak with conviction. You speak with energy. You speak with heart. That's what persuasion feels like. Conviction made audible. The story of the empty pitch. A marketing director once delivered a presentation to potential investors. He had all the facts, graphs and numbers, but the room stayed quiet. No one was moved. Then one of his colleagues stood up and said, "Let me tell you about Sarah. She's a mother of 2, who uses our product every morning to save an hour of her day." Suddenly, the energy changed. People leaned in. They smiled. They connected. Why? Because numbers appeal to logic, but stories appeal to emotion. And emotion is what makes people care. Persuasion isn't about proving. It's about moving. Principle 1. Speak to values, not just goals. Every person is guided by values, the things they believe in deeply. When your message aligns with their values, persuasion happens naturally. If you're trying to inspire a team, don't just say, "We need to meet this target." Say, "When we reach this goal, we prove what we're capable of together." You've shifted from a task to a value, from obligation to purpose. People don't fight for goals. They fight for meaning. Find what matters most to your audience, and connect your message to it. That's how persuasion begins. Principle 2. Use the power of contrast. The human brain understands best through comparison. When you show 2 possibilities, one dark, one bright, people naturally move toward the light. Contrast creates motivation. Instead of saying, "This change will help us," say, "If we stay the same, we'll fall behind. But if we adapt, we'll lead the future." Now you've painted a choice. People don't just hear your point. They see the difference. Leaders who master contrast don't demand change. They make change feel like the obvious next step. Principle 3. Speak with certainty. Uncertainty kills persuasion. When your tone hesitates, your message weakens. People are drawn to leaders who sound sure, not arrogant, but clear. Confidence doesn't come from shouting. It comes from conviction. Say what you believe without apology. Let your tone say, "This matters." Certainty is magnetic. It pulls people toward your belief until it becomes their own. Principle 4. Use simple, visual language. Complex words create distance. Simple visual words create connection. If you say, "We need to optimize cross-functional synergy," no one feels anything. But if you say, "We need to move as one team, like a well-tuned engine," everyone gets it. Visual language makes ideas real. It helps people see what you mean, not just hear it. The clearer your picture, the faster persuasion happens. Principle 5. Create emotional momentum. Every persuasive message has rhythm, a beginning that sparks curiosity, a middle that builds belief, and an end that calls for action. Start with a feeling, share a story, then move to logic, end with a clear step forward. For example, imagine what it will feel like when this project succeeds. We'll celebrate together, proud of what we built. Now here's how we make that happen. Starting today. Emotion opens the door. Logic gives the path. Action seals the deal. That is emotional momentum, the movement of heart and mind together. The story of the humanitarian leader. A humanitarian leader once needed donations to rebuild schools after a natural disaster. Her speech was simple. She didn't list numbers or budgets. She said, "Every morning, I walk past a building with no roof. Inside are 20 children sitting on the floor, still smiling, still learning. They believe in education even when it rains." Then she paused and said, "All we need is $10,000 to give them a roof. Will you help me cover those smiles?" The room was silent, then filled with applause. She raised the money that same day. Why? Because persuasion is not about convincing, it's about feeling. Principle 6. Build trust before influence. No message, no matter how brilliant, can persuade without trust. Trust comes from consistency, when your words, tone and actions all match. If your voice says "I care" but your behavior says otherwise, people will follow your behavior, not your words. To build trust, speak with honesty. Admit mistakes when they happen. Keep promises, even small ones. People listen differently when they trust the speaker. Because persuasion without trust feels like pressure, but persuasion with trust feels like partnership. Principle 7. Ask, don't force. The most persuasive leaders don't push. They ask. They use questions that invite ownership, not obedience. Instead of saying, "You need to change," say, "What would it take for us to improve this together?" Questions open minds. Demands close them. When people feel part of the decision, they naturally move in your direction. That's not manipulation. That's collaboration. Persuasion is never about control. It's about cooperation. The subtle power of listening. Here's a paradox. The most persuasive people are often the best listeners. When you listen deeply, you learn what matters most to others. And when you speak after listening, your message fits their world, not just yours. Listening builds emotional leverage. It tells people, you're seen, you're heard, and your opinion matters. That emotional validation makes them far more open to your ideas. So before you try to persuade, pause and listen longer, using persuasion for good. Persuasion becomes powerful when guided by integrity, because with influence comes responsibility. Never use persuasion to manipulate or deceive. Use it to inspire, uplift, and unite. Your goal should not be to win people, but to awaken them, to help them see a better version of themselves or a better path forward. When persuasion serves others, it earns respect. When it serves only you, it loses its soul. Always lead with honesty. Always aim for growth, not gain. Practical steps to strengthen your persuasive power. Here are simple daily habits to sharpen your ability to persuade. 1. Know your audience. Understand what they value and what worries them. 2. Start with emotion. Follow with reason. Capture hearts, then guide minds. 3. Use stories to illustrate your message. People remember stories more than statistics. 4. Speak with confidence and calm. Your energy transfers to your listener. 5. End every conversation with clarity. Always leave people knowing what comes next. These habits turn ordinary conversations into opportunities for influence. Closing message. The language of persuasion is not about control. It's about connection. It's about helping people see truth in a way that touches both their heart and their mind. When you speak with empathy, confidence, and authenticity, persuasion becomes effortless. Your words stop feeling like instruction, they start feeling like inspiration. So use your influence wisely. Speak to uplift. Lead to empower. And remember, the most persuasive message is not "do as I say." It's "come with me." Chapter 9. Handling pressure and nerves. Even the greatest leaders feel nervous before they speak. It's not weakness. It's human. The difference is, great leaders have learned how to master that feeling. Not remove it, but redirect it. Because nerves are not your enemy. They are energy waiting to be focused. The key is not to eliminate pressure. It's to perform within it. The truth about fear and nerves. Nervousness is simply your body preparing for importance. Your heart beats faster. Your breath shortens. Your mind sharpens. It's your body saying, "This matters." That's why even seasoned speakers still feel it. Because what they're doing still matters. Pressure means you care, and caring is the first step to greatness. So instead of fighting nerves, start thanking them. They're proof that your purpose is alive. The story of the unsteady speaker. A young entrepreneur once prepared for her first major pitch. She practiced for weeks. Her slides were perfect. Her voice was ready. Until she stepped on stage. Her hands began to shake. Her voice trembled. Her mind raced. Afterward she told her mentor, "I don't think I'm meant for public speaking. I was too nervous." Her mentor smiled and said, "You weren't too nervous. You were too focused on yourself. Shift your focus to your message, and your nerves will find their place." At her next presentation she changed her mindset. Instead of thinking, "What if I fail?" she thought, "What if this helps someone?" And that changed everything. The nerves didn't disappear. They transformed. Her fear became fuel. Her tension became power. She didn't stop being nervous. She just stopped letting nerves lead. Pressure is a privilege. You only feel pressure when something is important. And importance is a privilege. Pressure means you're trusted. It means people believe in you. It means your words have weight. When you reframe pressure as opportunity, it loses its grip on you. Think of a musician before a concert. Their hands shake, not from fear, but from anticipation. They're about to create something meaningful. You're the same. Your words are your performance. Pressure just means the moment matters. So instead of resisting it, say, "Yes, I feel this, because I'm doing something that counts." Understanding the body under stress. When you face pressure, your body activates a natural response, the fight or flight system. Your heartbeat rises. Your breathing shortens. Your muscles tighten. But you can train your body to interpret those sensations differently. Instead of thinking "I'm anxious," tell yourself, "I'm excited." The body doesn't know the difference, but the mind does. And your mindset controls the message your body receives. Breathe deeply. Relax your shoulders. Slow your speech. These small physical changes signal safety to your brain. And safety brings clarity. The power of the pause. Under pressure. When your heart races and your thoughts rush, use one of the most powerful tools a leader has. The pause. Pause before speaking. Pause before answering. Pause before reacting. A pause breaks the loop of panic. It creates space between emotion and response. Even a 2-second pause can reset your entire rhythm. You don't lose authority by pausing. You gain it. Because calm is magnetic. People trust the leader who doesn't rush under pressure. They sense your composure. They borrow your calm. Breathing, the leader's secret weapon. Your breath controls your state, and your state controls your performance. When pressure builds, take one deep breath in through the nose. Hold for a moment, then release slowly through the mouth. Repeat that 3 times. Each breath lowers your heart rate and clears your thoughts. This simple practice can turn anxiety into awareness. It brings you back to the present, where leadership happens. Every great communicator learns this. When you control your breath, you control the room. The story of the confident athlete. Before every race, a champion runner felt sick with nerves. One day his coach said, "You're not nervous because you're weak. You're nervous because you're ready." That one line changed his life. He realized his shaking hands and racing heart were signs of preparation, not panic. His body wasn't betraying him. It was supporting him. From then on, he treated nervousness as energy. He turned adrenaline into focus, and he began winning races, not because he stopped feeling fear, but because he learned how to use it. The same is true for you. When you feel nervous before you speak, don't run from it. Channel it. That energy is your fuel, shifting the focus from self to service. One of the fastest ways to calm nerves is to change your focus. When you think about yourself, your mistakes, your image, your fears, the pressure grows. When you think about your purpose, your audience, your message, your impact, the pressure fades. Ask yourself, who am I here to help? What do they need to feel from me? What value can I bring to this moment? When your focus shifts to others, your mind relaxes. Your purpose becomes bigger than your fear, and fear can't survive in the presence of purpose. Transforming nervous energy into power. Nervous energy and performance energy are the same thing. They just move in different directions. Fear pushes energy inward. Confidence pushes it outward. To transform it, give your energy a direction. Move your hands naturally. Use your voice with rhythm. Make eye contact. The moment you start using your energy, it stops overwhelming you. Action replaces anxiety. Purpose replaces panic. You don't need to calm down before speaking. You need to channel up. Turn the energy of fear into focus. What to do when pressure peaks. Even the best preparation can't remove all stress. Sometimes, pressure hits harder than expected. When that happens, follow these steps. 1. Pause and breathe. One deep breath resets your mind faster than any thought. 2. Ground yourself physically. Press your feet firmly into the floor. Feel your stability. You are here. You are safe. 3. Slow your speech. Rushing feeds panic. Slowing builds control. 4. Reconnect to your message. Remind yourself why this matters. Purpose overrides fear. 5. Smile gently. A small smile relaxes facial tension and signals calm both to you and your audience. These steps seem simple, but they are powerful when practiced regularly. Pressure creates presence. Pressure can be your greatest teacher. It refines your focus. It strengthens your resilience. It teaches you to perform with precision even when emotions run high. Leaders who embrace pressure don't crumble under it. They crystallize through it. They turn chaos into clarity. Every time you face a stressful moment and stay grounded, you grow stronger. You expand your capacity to handle more. Pressure doesn't destroy leaders. It defines them. Closing message. Handling pressure and nerves isn't about pretending to be fearless. It's about learning to stay steady when fear appears. Your body may shake. Your heart may race. Your hands may sweat. That's okay. It means you're alive, passionate, and doing something that matters. With practice, your fear becomes focus. Your nerves become energy. Your pressure becomes presence. So when you step into a high-stakes moment, take a breath, find your center, and speak anyway. Because courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward despite it. And every time you do, your confidence grows stronger, your voice steadier, and your leadership deeper. That's how true leaders handle pressure. They don't avoid the heat. They learn to shine through it. Chapter 10. Communicating Vision and Purpose. Every great leader has a vision, but not every leader knows how to communicate it. A vision without communication is just a dream. A vision shared with purpose becomes a movement. Your words have the power to paint the future, to help others see what does not yet exist, to turn imagination into inspiration, and inspiration into action. That is the art of communicating vision and purpose. The power of a clear vision. People don't follow instructions. They follow purpose. They want to feel that their work, their effort, and their time are part of something meaningful. That's what a clear vision provides. A reason to care. A leader without vision speaks about tasks. A leader with vision speaks about transformation. Think of the difference between saying, "We're building a product," and saying, "We're changing how people live." One describes what, the other describes why. And people are always moved by the why. When your message carries purpose, your audience doesn't just understand it, they believe in it. The story of the painter and the wall. There's a story about two painters working side by side. One painted walls in silence, counting the hours until the day ended. The other painted the same walls while humming, smiling, and standing taller. Someone asked him, "Why are you so joyful doing the same work?" He said, "Because I'm not just painting walls. I'm creating a home for a family that will make memories here." That's the difference vision makes. Same task, different meaning. Vision turns labor into legacy. How vision connects people. Vision acts like a magnet. It pulls people together. It gives direction to effort and unity to action. When you communicate vision clearly, people begin to align. They start seeing themselves in the story you're telling. They stop working for you and start working with you. A shared vision transforms individuals into a team. It gives meaning to challenge and reason to persistence. When people understand why they're doing something, they'll go further, stay longer, and give more. The difference between vision and mission. Vision and mission are not the same. Your vision is your destination, where you want to go. Your mission is the path, how you'll get there. Vision inspires. Mission guides. A strong leader speaks to both. They describe the dream, and they outline the journey. When your audience can see the future and understand the path, they trust the process. That's how leadership turns imagination into momentum. Speaking vision with emotional impact. Vision lives in emotion before it lives in action. You must make people feel the future before they can help you build it. To do that, use 3 principles. 1. Speak in pictures. Describe what the future looks like, sounds like, and feels like. Help people visualize success. 2. Speak with passion. If you're not inspired, no one else will be. Your tone should carry conviction, not performance. 3. Speak with inclusion. Use we more than I. A vision is never a solo dream. It's a shared one. Paint a picture so vivid that people can already imagine themselves inside it. The story of the visionary coach. A basketball coach once inherited a losing team. The players had talent, but no confidence. Instead of talking about their losses, he gathered them in the locker room and said, "One day soon we'll walk into this gym and hear the crowd chant our name. They'll cheer because they'll know how hard we've worked, and we'll know we earned it." That moment changed everything. They hadn't won a single game yet, but they felt the future. Months later, they became champions. Vision gave them belief. Belief gave them power. The role of purpose in leadership. Purpose is the heartbeat of leadership. It's the why that sustains you when challenges appear. When you know your purpose, you speak differently. Your words carry depth. Your energy becomes magnetic. Purpose doesn't just motivate others. It anchors you. It keeps you steady when things get hard. A leader who knows their purpose never loses direction, even when the road changes. When you speak with purpose, people don't just hear you, they feel you. How to discover and communicate your purpose. Purpose isn't always something you find. Sometimes it's something you decide. Ask yourself, what difference do I want to make? Who do I want to impact? Why does this matter to me? When you answer those questions honestly, your purpose becomes clear. To communicate it effectively, be honest about your story. Share what drives you. Let people see the heart behind your vision. People follow authenticity, not perfection. They want to know you believe what you say. When your purpose feels real, your message feels powerful, turning vision into action. A vision without action fades. That's why leaders translate dreams into steps. Once people believe in the vision, they need direction. What do we do now? How do we start? What's the first win? Break your vision into milestones. Make it visible, measurable, and achievable. When people see progress, belief grows stronger. When they experience results, purpose becomes habit. Small victories build unstoppable momentum. The story of the farmer and the field. A farmer once stood before an empty field. Someone asked him, "Do you really think you can grow something from this barren land?" He smiled and said, "I don't see what's there now. I see what will be here soon." Every seed he planted was a statement of faith. Every harvest proved his vision right. That's leadership. You plant ideas long before you see results. You speak of growth before it exists. And one day your faith becomes visible to everyone. Vision is the seed. Purpose is the soil. Action is the sunlight. Together they create transformation. Practical steps for visionary communication. Here's how to communicate vision and purpose with clarity and strength. 1. Simplify your message. A vision must be easy to repeat. If it's complicated, it will fade. 2. Tell stories that reflect your vision. Stories make your message human and relatable. 3. Use emotional language. Help people feel the importance of what you're saying. 4. Revisit your vision often. Keep it alive in meetings, in messages, and in actions. 5. Lead by example. Your daily behavior should mirror your purpose. When people see it lived, they'll believe it more deeply. Clarity, consistency, and conviction. These 3 are the cornerstones of visionary leadership. Closing message. Communicating vision and purpose is not about making people believe in you. It's about helping them believe in what's possible. Your words can light the path toward a better future. Your passion can awaken belief. Your purpose can give meaning to others' work and lives. So speak boldly about what could be. Remind people that they are part of something bigger. And lead with words that carry both direction and heart. Because when you communicate vision with purpose, you don't just lead, you ignite possibility, and that more than anything else is the mark of a true leader. Chapter 11. Listening like a leader. Leadership is not only about speaking well, it's about listening deeply. The greatest leaders don't just lead with their voice, they lead with their ears. They understand that every person, every idea, and every emotion carries value. They know that real influence begins when people feel heard. Listening is not a passive act. It's a skill, a discipline, a choice to give someone your full attention in a distracted world. And when you do, you build trust faster than any speech ever could. The power of being heard. Every human being has one simple desire: to feel understood. When you truly listen, you give them that gift. It doesn't matter if you agree with them or not. What matters is that they feel seen, valued and respected. When people feel heard, they open up, they share more honestly, they trust more deeply, and they become more willing to follow your lead. Listening turns walls into bridges. It transforms conflict into connection. The moment someone says, "You really understand me," you've already begun to lead them. The story of the impatient executive. An executive once complained that her team never brought her new ideas. She said, "They just wait for me to tell them what to do." Her mentor asked to sit in on a meeting. Halfway through, he smiled and said quietly, "They do have ideas, but you interrupt before they finish." She was shocked. She hadn't realized that her eagerness to respond made people stop trying. The next week, she changed one habit. She stayed silent until her team finished speaking. At first it felt uncomfortable, but something remarkable happened. Her team started sharing more. Meetings became creative again. All she did was listen, and everything changed. Listening builds respect. When you listen, you show respect. You communicate. Your voice matters. And that simple message builds loyalty. People don't remember every decision you make, but they never forget how you made them feel during the conversation. Listening is not agreement. It's acknowledgement. It tells the other person, "You're worth my time and attention." In leadership, respect flows downward first. When people feel heard by you, they will naturally start listening to you. The 3 levels of listening. Most people hear words, few hear meaning. Leaders listen on 3 levels. 1. Listening to reply. This is surface level listening. You're waiting for your turn to speak. Your focus is on answering, not understanding. 2. Listening to understand. Here you focus on the speaker's message. You pay attention to words, tone and intent. 3. Listening to connect. This is leadership level listening. You don't just hear their words, you feel their emotion. You understand what's behind their message. This 3rd level builds emotional trust. It tells people you're not just hearing them, you're with them. The story of the teacher who listened. A student once came to his teacher, upset and frustrated. He said, "I keep trying, but no one seems to notice my effort." The teacher didn't rush to advise or correct him. He simply said, "That sounds heavy. Tell me more." The student talked for 20 minutes straight. At the end he said softly, "I already feel better." The teacher hadn't offered a single solution. He had only listened. Sometimes the act of listening is the solution. Because when people feel heard, they begin to heal, to think clearly, and to move forward on their own. Silence, the listener's greatest tool. Silence is not emptiness. It's space. A space for others to find their voice. Most people interrupt silence too quickly. They rush to fill it. But silence invites truth. When you stay quiet, You give the other person permission to go deeper. You say, it's safe to share more. Leaders who can be silent at the right time often learn the most valuable things, because real insight doesn't always come from talking. It comes from listening between the words. Listening beyond words. Not every message is spoken. Sometimes people tell you everything you need to know without saying much at all. Pay attention to tone, posture, and emotion. Is their energy low? Is their smile forced? Are they speaking faster than usual? These are signals, small clues that reveal what they might be feeling. Emotion often hides behind language. A great leader listens with their eyes as much as with their ears. They notice what others miss. Empathy in listening. Empathy is what turns hearing into understanding. To listen with empathy means to step into another person's world for a moment. It means to feel what they feel, without judgment. Empathy doesn't require you to fix their pain, just to recognize it. You can say, I can see how that must have been hard, or that sounds frustrating. These small acknowledgements can rebuild trust faster than any speech. Empathy is listening with the heart open. It's quiet strength in human form. How listening improves influence. Here's a paradox. The more you listen, the more influence you gain. Because people trust those who take the time to understand them. When they feel understood, they naturally want to understand you. Listening builds emotional credit. Every time you give someone attention, you make a deposit of trust. When it's your turn to lead or persuade, that trust pays back tenfold. Influence begins with attention. Attention begins with listening. How to practice leadership listening. You don't need special training to become a better listener, just presence and intention. Here are some practical ways to strengthen your listening skill. 1. Eliminate distractions. Put your phone aside. Close your laptop. Show that this conversation has your full attention. 2. Listen longer before responding. Wait an extra second before you speak. That pause gives others space to finish their thought. 3. Reflect what you heard. Say things like, so what I'm hearing is, or it sounds like you're saying. This shows that you're paying attention and clarifies understanding. 4. Ask deeper questions. Instead of jumping to advice, ask, what do you think would help? Questions empower people to think for themselves. 5. Watch your body language. Lean slightly forward. Maintain warm eye contact. Your posture can say, I'm listening, even before your words do. These habits transform everyday conversations into moments of connection. The story of the leader who listened first. A CEO was once asked how she managed to turn a struggling company around in less than a year. She smiled and said, I spent my first 3 months listening. I didn't make decisions. I made discoveries. She met with employees at every level. She asked, what's working? What's not? What would you change if you could? By listening first, she earned trust. By understanding the real issues, she made better decisions. Her silence was not absence. It was attention. And that attention became her greatest form of leadership. Listening as a daily practice. Listening isn't something you do occasionally. It's something you are. You can practice it in small daily ways, with your team, your family, even strangers. Every moment you choose to be fully present, you strengthen your leadership muscle. Ask more. Judge less. Stay curious. That's how true listeners lead. Listening is not about waiting to speak. It's about being open to understanding. Closing message. To listen like a leader is to honor others with your attention. It's to understand before being understood. to hear the emotion behind the words, not just the sound of them. When you listen deeply, you give people more than your time. You give them dignity. You remind them that their voice matters. And in doing so you earn something no command can buy: genuine respect. So slow down. Be present. Let silence speak. Because in the end, leadership isn't just about the words that move people. It's about the listening that makes them trust you enough to be moved at all. Chapter 12. The Language of Respect and Influence. Respect is the foundation of influence. You cannot truly lead people you don't respect, and you cannot expect respect if you do not give it first. Leadership begins not with authority but with attitude. The attitude that says, "You matter. Your voice matters. This moment matters." When people feel respected, they open their hearts. When they don't, they close their minds. Respect is invisible, but it's always felt, and it's through respect that your words begin to carry lasting influence. Influence without respect fails. You can have the right strategy, the right message, and the right plan, but if people don't feel respected by you, they won't follow you for long. Fear may create compliance, but only respect creates commitment. Respect turns leadership into partnership. It turns direction into inspiration. True influence isn't about getting people to do what you say. It's about helping them want to do it, because they believe in you and your vision. That's what respect builds. It builds the kind of influence that lasts long after you've stopped speaking. The story of the two leaders. Two leaders managed similar teams. Both were intelligent, organized and skilled, but their results were very different. The first leader spoke with authority. He gave clear instructions, but rarely listened. His team obeyed, but without enthusiasm. The second leader spoke with respect. He listened before deciding. He used phrases like, "What do you think?" and "Help me understand your view." His team worked harder, stayed longer, and cared more. Same company, same goals, different energy. The difference wasn't talent. It was tone. The tone of respect. Respect begins with recognition. People want to be seen, not as titles but as humans. They want to know that their contribution matters. When you say, "I appreciate what you did today," you're not just giving feedback. You're giving validation. Recognition doesn't have to be public or grand. Sometimes it's a quiet moment after a meeting. A short message that says, "Your idea made a difference." Respect is built in small moments like that. Moments that tell people, "I see you. I value you." Those words create loyalty no paycheck ever could. How language shapes respect. The way you speak determines how people feel around you. Your tone, your phrasing, even your pauses communicate respect, or the lack of it. Respectful language is calm, direct and considerate. It doesn't dominate. It invites. Here are some examples. Instead of saying, "You didn't understand," say, "Let's make sure we're on the same page." Instead of, "You need to fix this," say, "Here's how we can make this stronger." Instead of, "You're wrong," say, "That's one perspective. Let's explore another." Respectful language doesn't soften truth. It strengthens connection. It helps people hear you without feeling attacked. And when people feel safe, they become open to change. Listening as an act of respect. Listening is one of the purest forms of respect. When you give someone your full attention, you're saying, "You matter enough for me to pause." In leadership, attention is love in professional form. It's how you show care, without words. When someone speaks, don't just wait to reply. Listen for meaning. Acknowledge their effort. You don't always have to agree, but you must always understand. The leader who listens deeply earns influence naturally. The story of the hospital director. A hospital director was once known for her kindness and calm. When asked how she kept her staff loyal for years, she said, "I treat everyone, from the surgeons to the janitors, with the same respect, because they all serve the same purpose." She would walk through the halls and greet every person by name. She listened when they spoke. She thanked them for their work. Her influence was quiet, but powerful. People didn't follow her because she demanded it. They followed her because they wanted to. Respect gave her leadership its strength. How respect builds influence. Respect builds the emotional foundation that influence stands on. Without it, persuasion becomes pressure. With it, persuasion becomes partnership. When people feel respected, they trust your motives. They assume your feedback is meant to help, not hurt. They receive your direction with openness, not resistance. Respect turns influence into collaboration. It changes the question from, "Why should I listen to you?" to "How can we achieve this together?" That shift is where true leadership lives. Ego, the enemy of respect. Ego is the quiet destroyer of influence. It whispers, "You know more. You don't need their input. You're right." But ego closes ears. It turns leadership into control, and control always shrinks respect. The strongest leaders aren't the ones who need to prove their power. They're the ones who have nothing to prove. They use humility as strength. Humility doesn't mean lowering yourself. It means lifting others. It means knowing that leadership is about service, not superiority. When people sense humility, they feel respected. And when they feel respected, they willingly follow, using respect to deliver hard truths. Respect doesn't mean avoiding honesty. It means delivering truth with care. You can tell someone they need to improve without damaging their dignity. You can correct performance without crushing confidence. Start with empathy. Acknowledge effort. Then offer direction. For example, say, "I see how much effort you've put into this. Here's one area I think we can strengthen together." This approach builds growth, not guilt. It maintains respect while encouraging improvement. Hard truths, spoken with respect, don't create defensiveness. They create progress. The voice of respect. Respect has a sound. It's calm. It's patient. It's steady. You can hear respect in someone's tone, how they respond under pressure, how they speak to someone who can't offer them anything in return, how they handle disagreement. A respectful voice communicates leadership without volume. It says, "I'm confident, but I'm kind." And that balance, strength with softness, is what makes a voice truly influential. Practical ways to speak with respect and influence. Here are a few ways to bring respect into your daily communication. Choose patience over reaction. When emotions rise, breathe before speaking. Calm creates clarity. Use people's names. It personalizes respect. It says, "You're not just part of the crowd, you're seen." 3. Appreciate publicly. Correct privately. Praise builds confidence. Correction builds trust when handled with dignity. 4. Honor differences. You don't have to agree with every opinion, but you can respect every person. 5. Keep your promises. Respect is built on reliability. When your words match your actions, your influence grows naturally. These habits may seem small, but they define the atmosphere you create around you. The ripple effect of respect. Respect spreads. When you show it consistently, others begin to model it. It becomes part of the culture. Your tone sets the tone. If you speak with respect, others will follow your example. A respectful leader doesn't need to demand discipline. Their presence inspires it. Respect transforms environments, strengthens relationships, and builds influence that lasts far beyond titles or positions. Closing message. Influence built on fear fades fast. Influence built on respect endures. When you lead with respect, your words gain power, your silence gains weight, and your presence gains peace. Respectful communication turns leadership into connection. It turns authority into trust. It turns followers into believers. So choose your words carefully. Speak with empathy. Listen with humility. Act with consistency. Because in the end, it's not how many people you lead. It's how deeply they trust you while you do. And that trust is born, nurtured and sustained through the timeless language of respect. Chapter 13. The Power of Everyday Communication. Leadership doesn't live only in speeches or big moments. It lives in the small daily exchanges that most people overlook. The words you use in ordinary moments. A greeting, a question, a thank you, shape how people feel about you and how they respond to you. Every conversation is a chance to build trust or break it, to inspire confidence or doubt, to strengthen your influence or weaken it. Great leaders understand this truth. They know that the way they speak every day creates the foundation for how they lead when it matters most. The small moments that matter most. Most people prepare carefully for the big moments. The presentation, the meeting, the pitch. But influence is built long before those moments ever arrive. It's built in how you respond to an email, how you greet someone in the hallway, how you listen when someone speaks to you. Small moments send big messages. They tell people who you are when no one is watching. You can't fake authenticity in the everyday. Your tone, your patience, your presence, these are the quiet signals of leadership. The story of the two colleagues. Two colleagues worked for the same manager. One day they compared experiences. The first said, "Whenever I talk to him I feel rushed, like my words don't matter." The second said, "Whenever I talk to him I feel seen, like I'm the only person in the room." Same manager, same role, different approach. He didn't treat everyone differently. He treated every moment differently. He gave his full attention no matter how brief the conversation. That's the essence of everyday communication. Presence. The ripple effect of daily words. Words don't vanish after you say them. They ripple outward, shaping emotions, decisions, and culture. A careless comment can discourage someone for days. A single word of encouragement can lift them for weeks. Leaders understand that their words echo in the minds of others, so they choose them carefully. They use language that builds, not breaks, that clarifies, not confuses, that heals, not hurts. Because in leadership, communication isn't just what you say, it's what you cause. Consistency builds credibility. Consistency is the hidden strength behind everyday communication. When people hear the same tone of respect, calm, and clarity from you, no matter the situation, they begin to trust you deeply. It's not one great speech that builds credibility. It's the 1,000 small moments that match your message. When your behavior and words align, people stop questioning your intent. They start believing in your integrity. Every good morning, every thank you, every calm response under stress, all of it adds up to leadership that feels real and reliable. How to lead through everyday conversations. You don't need a meeting room or a title to lead. You lead every time you speak with intention. Here are simple ways to make daily communication powerful. 1. Speak with warmth. Your tone sets the emotional temperature of every conversation. A warm tone invites openness. 2. Be clear and kind. Even when giving direction or feedback, clarity with kindness builds trust. 3. Ask meaningful questions. Questions like how are you handling things or what's your perspective show care and curiosity. 4. Listen longer than you speak. Most people listen to respond. Leaders listen to understand. 5. Close every conversation with intention. End with gratitude, encouragement, or clear next steps. People remember how you leave them feeling. These small habits make communication not just a skill but a leadership tool. The story of the cafe owner. A cafe owner was known for having one of the happiest teams in the city. A journalist once asked her the secret. She smiled and said, "It's not about money, it's about words." Every morning she greeted her staff by name. She asked about their families. She listened. When things went wrong, she corrected gently. When things went right, she celebrated loudly. Her team didn't work for her. They worked with her. Her leadership wasn't built on long speeches. It was built on daily conversations filled with respect and kindness. That's the unseen power of everyday communication. Tone over time. Your tone today becomes your reputation tomorrow. People rarely remember your exact words, but they always remember how your voice made them feel. A calm voice during crisis becomes a source of safety. A kind tone during tension becomes a sign of character. A patient tone during frustration becomes a lesson in grace. Every tone you use shapes the emotional memory others associate with you. Leadership isn't about being perfect. It's about being intentional, especially when pressure rises. The power of simple phrases. Sometimes the most powerful things you can say are also the simplest. Phrases like "I believe in you," "I trust your judgment," "Thank you for your effort," "Tell me what you think." These short sentences have long-lasting effects. They plant seeds of confidence. They remind people that they are seen and valued. You don't need grand speeches to motivate others. You just need consistent moments of genuine acknowledgement. How everyday words shape culture. The culture of any team, business, or community grows from everyday communication. It's not the slogans on the wall that define it. It's the words spoken in daily conversation. If leaders speak with blame, the culture grows defensive. If they speak with respect, the culture grows open. If they speak with gratitude, the culture grows strong. Your daily language is the soil of your environment. Whatever you plant there, positivity or negativity, will eventually grow. The story of the builder and the apprentice. A young apprentice once worked for a wise builder. Every day, the apprentice noticed how the builder spoke slow, clear, and kind. He asked, "Why do you take such care in how you talk?" The builder replied, "Because every word I speak builds something, a wall, a bridge, or a barrier. I decide which." That truth stayed with the apprentice for life. He learned that leadership isn't built from orders or titles, but from tone, patience, and the words we choose every single day. Practical habits for everyday influence. To communicate like a leader in daily life, practice these habits. 1. Be intentional with greetings. Start every interaction with presence, a smile, a name, a kind tone. 2. Replace criticism with curiosity. Ask what led to this, instead of, "Why did you do this?" 3. Use gratitude daily. A simple thank you spoken sincerely reinforces loyalty. 4. Slow your responses. Respond. Don't react. Give your words time to form. 5. End your day with reflection. Ask yourself, did I build trust with my words today? These simple practices will transform not just how you lead, but how people experience you. Closing message. Everyday communication is where real leadership lives. It's not in the boardroom or on the stage. It's in the hallway. The message, the quick check-in, the quiet encouragement. Your influence grows in the ordinary moments, when no one expects it, but everyone feels it. Every sentence you speak plants a seed. Every tone you use writes part of your story. So speak with care, lead with awareness, and remember, the smallest conversations often shape the biggest outcomes, because leadership isn't measured by how loudly you speak in public. It's measured by how deeply you connect in private, and that is the quiet, lasting power of everyday communication. Chapter 14. Building a signature speaking style. Every great leader has a voice that feels unmistakable. When they speak, you know it's them, not because of their words alone, but because of the way those words feel. Their tone has identity. Their rhythm has purpose. Their message sounds real. That's what a signature speaking style is. Your unique way of expressing truth with clarity, confidence, and authenticity. It's not about sounding perfect. It's about sounding like you. Your voice is your fingerprint. No two voices are the same. Your tone, your pace, your energy, they form a pattern that no one else can copy. But here's the secret. Most people never develop their voice. They imitate others. They try to sound like their mentors, their heroes, or the leaders they admire. The problem is, imitation creates distance. Authenticity creates connection. The most powerful voice you can have is your own. Refined, not replaced. Your signature speaking style is the bridge between who you are and how the world hears you. The story of the nervous speaker. A young speaker once approached her coach and said, "I've watched hundreds of speeches, but I can't find my voice. I don't sound like any of them." The coach smiled and replied, "Good, you're not supposed to." Then he asked her to tell a story about why she started her work. As she spoke, her voice softened, her tone changed. It wasn't polished, but it was powerful. The coach said, "There it is. That's your real voice. Not performed, not copied, just honest." That moment changed everything for her. She stopped chasing perfection and started building authenticity, because your best voice doesn't come from performance. It comes from presence. Authenticity over performance. The more you try to sound impressive, the less people connect. The more you sound real, the more people listen. Authenticity doesn't mean casual. It means aligned. Your words, tone, and intention all pointing in the same direction. Listeners can sense when your voice matches your truth. They can also sense when it doesn't. When you speak with authenticity, your message gains emotional power. You no longer need to convince. You simply express. Your voice becomes believable because you are believable. The elements of a signature style. Every memorable speaking style blends 5 key elements. 1. Tone. The emotion behind your voice. Is it warm, calm, confident, or passionate? Tone sets the emotional mood of your message. 2. Rhythm. The pattern of your speech. Do you speak in short bursts or slow, reflective sentences? Rhythm keeps listeners engaged. 3. Language. The words you choose. Are they formal or conversational? Simple or poetic? Language defines your personality. 4. Energy. The life behind your delivery. Energy doesn't mean volume. It means presence and intensity. The listener should feel your belief. 5. Pause. The space that gives words meaning. Pausing shows control. It gives listeners time to breathe and reflect. When these elements align, Your speaking style becomes more than sound, it becomes identity. Developing your voice from within. Your signature style isn't something you create overnight. It grows from self-awareness and intention. Here's how to begin. 1. Know your core message. What truth runs through everything you say? It might be hope, discipline, courage, or growth. When your message is clear, your voice becomes consistent. 2. Reflect your personality. Are you calm and thoughtful, bold and energetic? Let your tone reflect who you are. Don't hide behind performance. 3. Speak to connect, not to impress. Focus on your audience, not your ego. Connection creates authenticity. 4. Practice awareness. Record yourself. Listen carefully. Notice moments that feel natural and moments that feel forced. 5. Refine through feedback. Ask trusted friends or mentors what your voice communicates. Their perception helps you see yourself clearly. Building a speaking style is not about crafting an image. It's about clarifying your truth, then letting that truth speak freely. The story of the philosopher and the apprentice. A philosopher once told his apprentice, "Before you speak, ask yourself 3 questions. Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary?" The apprentice asked, "Will that make me a great speaker?" The philosopher smiled and said, "No, it will make you an honest one, and honesty makes greatness possible." Your signature speaking style begins with those 3 questions. Truth gives it strength. Kindness gives it warmth. Purpose gives it direction. When you combine all 3, your words begin to sound like wisdom. Finding the emotion in your words. Emotion is the heartbeat of your speaking style. It's what makes your message memorable. Every topic, even a practical one, carries emotion, hope, courage, frustration, pride, joy. When you connect emotionally to what you're saying, your listeners connect emotionally to you. You don't have to force it. Just speak from experience. Speak from the part of you that cares. Emotion doesn't make you weaker. It makes you human. And humanity is what creates impact. Balancing flexibility and consistency. Your style should feel authentic, but adaptable. Different moments require different tones. When you inspire, use energy. When you comfort, use calm. When you teach, use clarity. When you persuade, use conviction. Flexibility keeps your message alive, but consistency keeps it grounded. The best speakers adjust their approach, but never their integrity. Their message always feels like them, even when the tone shifts. The role of silence in style. Every voice needs silence to sound powerful. Pauses are part of your speaking identity. A well-timed pause can do more than 100 words. It gives your message gravity. It lets your emotion settle. It tells the listener, this matters. Silence is not absence. It's emphasis. When you learn to use it, your presence grows stronger, even in stillness. Practical exercises to refine your speaking style. Here are simple ways to develop your own authentic style. 1. Read aloud every day. Choose a paragraph and speak it slowly. Experiment with tone, rhythm and pause until it feels natural. 2. Record short messages. Talk about something meaningful to you. Listen for your natural rhythm and tone. 3. Practice storytelling. Share personal stories with friends. Notice when they lean in. That's where your authenticity shines. 4. Use emotional contrast. Practice shifting from calm to passionate, soft to strong. It builds dynamic control. 5. Create a signature line. A phrase that represents your philosophy. Something you often repeat naturally. It becomes part of your brand and rhythm. The more you practice consciously, the more your voice develops unconsciously. The story of the mentor's voice. A young speaker once asked his mentor, "How do I sound like you?" The mentor laughed and said, "You shouldn't. You should sound like you, but better." He explained, "Every great voice is just a clear expression of a clear mind. The more honest your thoughts, the clearer your sound." That advice changed the speaker forever. He stopped polishing and started simplifying. And in simplicity he found strength. That's what every great voice eventually learns. Authenticity is your most powerful sound. Closing message. Your signature speaking style is not a technique. It's an expression of truth. It's the sound of your values, your beliefs, and your heart woven into every sentence. Don't chase the style of others. Refine your own. Speak with self-awareness, emotion, and purpose. When your words match your inner truth, your voice becomes unforgettable. Not because it's loud, but because it's real. So speak with clarity. Speak with confidence. Speak with care. Because your voice, your true authentic voice, is not just how people hear you, it's how they remember you. Chapter 15. Speak to lead, not to impress. The goal of a leader is not to sound impressive. It's to make an impact. You don't need the fanciest words. You don't need perfect grammar or flawless delivery. You only need one thing: authenticity. Because people don't follow perfection. They follow connection. When you speak to impress, your focus is on yourself. When you speak to lead, your focus is on others. And that simple shift changes everything. The trap of trying to impress. It's easy to fall into the trap of wanting to sound impressive. You prepare long speeches. You memorize quotes. You try to sound smarter, stronger, more polished. But something gets lost in that effort. Your realness. Listeners can feel when you're performing. They can sense when your attention is on how you sound, not on what they need. And when that happens, trust fades. True leadership is not about showing how great you are. It's about showing how great others can be because of you. People remember how you made them feel, not how you made yourself look. The story of the confident CEO. A young CEO once delivered a speech at a major conference. He rehearsed for weeks. Every line was perfect. Every gesture timed. When the moment came, he delivered flawlessly. But the audience was quiet. They applauded politely, but no one was moved. Later, an older mentor said, "Your words were beautiful, but they were about you, not them." The next year, the same CEO gave another speech. This time he shared personal stories. Moments of struggle, moments of learning, moments that revealed his humanity. His voice trembled at times, but the audience leaned in. They felt his heart. When he finished, the entire room stood to applaud. He had learned the most important truth about leadership communication. Real influence doesn't come from perfection. It comes from presence. The shift from impressing to inspiring. When you stop trying to impress, you begin to inspire. You stop performing and start connecting. You stop focusing on being the hero and start helping others see the hero within themselves. Leaders don't speak to get attention. They speak to give direction. They don't try to be the smartest in the room. They try to make the room smarter. That's the difference between communication and leadership. One seeks validation. The other creates transformation. Why people crave authenticity. In today's world, people are surrounded by noise, advertisements, opinions, and endless performances. But authenticity cuts through the noise, like a clear bell in a storm. Authenticity is magnetic. It's the quality that makes people stop scrolling, stop doubting, and start believing. When you speak with honesty and humility, people feel safe around you. They trust your motives. They sense that your words come from experience, not ego. Authenticity turns communication into connection, into influence. The power of simplicity. Complexity is the enemy of clarity. Many leaders think long sentences make them sound wise, but wisdom is found in simplicity. The best communicators say profound things in simple ways. Think of timeless phrases like less is more. Actions speak louder than words. Be the change you wish to see. These are not impressive because they are complex. They are powerful because they are clear. When you strip away unnecessary words, what remains is truth, and truth doesn't need decoration to shine. The story of the teacher and the speech. A teacher once asked her students to write a short speech about kindness. One student wrote a long poetic piece filled with big words. Another wrote just one sentence. Kindness is doing something for someone who can't repay you. When the teacher read it, the room fell silent, not because it was perfect, but because it was true. The lesson was clear. Clarity connects faster than complexity. The simplest words often carry the deepest meaning. Humility, the core of leadership speech. Humility doesn't make your words weaker. It makes them stronger. When you speak with humility, people feel your humanity. They sense that you're not trying to stand above them. You're standing with them. A humble voice says, "I don't know everything, but I'm willing to learn." It says, "I'm not here to impress you. I'm here to help you." Humility disarms pride, invites openness, and builds respect faster than any title or talent ever could. A proud voice demands attention. A humble voice earns it. Focus on service, not performance. The best leaders see every word as an act of service. They ask themselves, how can my message make someone's life better today? That one question changes your tone, your delivery, and your energy. When you speak to serve, your audience feels it. They sense your care. They trust your intent. And in that trust, influence grows effortlessly. The best communicators are not performers. They are servants of meaning. How to speak to lead. Here are practical ways to build a leadership mindset every time you speak. 1. Prepare for impact, not perfection. Perfection creates pressure. Impact creates purpose. 2. Replace performance with presence. Don't try to sound right. Try to be real. 3. Use we more than I. Leadership language is collective. It unites, not separates. 4. Speak from stories, not statistics. Facts inform, stories transform. 5. End every message with direction. Leadership speech always answers the question, what should we do next? These small shifts turn your communication from impressive to influential. The story of the soldier's speech. At a memorial service, a soldier was asked to say a few words about a fallen friend. He stood there, trembling, unable to find the perfect sentence. Finally he said, "I don't have fancy words. I just know that he was brave, and I will never forget him." The audience began to cry. There was no eloquence, just truth. That moment reminded everyone that authenticity will always move hearts more than polish ever could. Leadership is not about grand words. It's about honest words. The leader's inner dialogue. Before every important conversation or speech, pause and ask yourself, am I speaking to be admired, or to make a difference? If your goal is admiration, your energy turns inward. You begin performing. But if your goal is impact, your energy turns outward. You begin leading. The right motive changes your message, and your message changes your influence. The sound of a true leader. A true leader's voice carries calm confidence. It's not loud, but it's steady. It's not rehearsed, but it's real. When they speak, you feel something shift inside you, not because they impress you, but because they remind you of what's possible. Their voice says, "I'm here with you," not "I'm above you." That's what leadership sounds like. That's what makes people listen long after the words have ended. Closing message. In the end, leadership is not about applause. It's about alignment. Aligning your words with truth, your tone with purpose, and your actions with meaning. When you stop trying to impress, you start to influence. When you stop performing, you start connecting. People don't need you to sound perfect. They need you to sound honest. So speak with conviction, not competition. Speak with heart, not ego. Speak to lift others, not to elevate yourself. Because the voice that truly leads doesn't seek attention. It earns respect through authenticity. And that's the kind of voice the world will never forget. Conclusion. Your voice is your legacy. Your voice is more than sound. It's more than the words you say, or the tone you use. It's a reflection of who you are, your values, your vision, and your truth. Throughout this journey, you've learned that leadership begins with communication, not communication to impress, not to dominate, but to connect, to inspire, and to create change that lasts. Every time you speak, you leave something behind. An impression, an emotion, a moment of influence that becomes part of someone else's story. That is your legacy, the echo of your voice in the hearts of others. The journey you've taken. You began by discovering that leadership starts with language, the way your words shape trust, confidence, and belief. You learned the importance of clarity, how it builds understanding and respect. You mastered your voice, your tone, and the art of pausing, using silence as strength. You explored storytelling, body language, and emotional intelligence, the invisible tools that connect people beyond logic. You practiced persuasion, built on integrity, handling pressure with calm, and communicating vision with passion. You learned to listen deeply, to respect others, and to use your influence with care. And finally, you found your authentic voice, not to impress the world but to serve it. Each lesson has led you here, to the truth that great leadership doesn't begin with power, it begins with presence. Your words shape worlds. Every great movement, every revolution of thought, every act of courage, began with words. Words that inspired, words that united, words that reminded people of what they could become. Your words have that same potential. The way you speak to your team, your family, your clients, your community, it all matters. You might not always see the impact immediately, but every seed you plant through your voice grows somewhere unseen. That is the quiet, unstoppable power of communication. The story of the bridge builder. A man once spent his life building bridges across rivers. On his last day of work, someone asked him, "You've built hundreds of bridges. Which one matters most?" He smiled and said, "The one that helped the most people cross." Your voice is a bridge too. Every time you speak with honesty and intention, you help someone cross. From doubt to confidence, from confusion to clarity, from fear to courage. And the more bridges you build, the more lives you touch. That's how your voice becomes legacy. Presence. Over perfection, perfection fades. Presence endures. The world doesn't need flawless speakers. It needs leaders who care enough to speak truthfully, listen deeply, and act with integrity. You will still feel nervous. You will still make mistakes. But those moments don't define your voice. They humanize it. People don't want robotic perfection. They want real connection. When your heart is in your words, your listeners will always feel it, speaking beyond the moment. One day, your words will outlive you. They will echo in the minds of those you've guided, taught or inspired. They will shape how people remember you, not for what you achieved but for how you made them feel. That's the true power of a leader's voice. It's not measured in volume but in vibration, in the quiet waves it sends across time. Your voice can heal, it can empower, it can awaken belief where there was once doubt. Every meaningful word you speak today becomes part of your legacy tomorrow. The leadership within you. You don't need a stage to lead. You don't need a title to influence. You lead every time you choose truth over silence. Every time you speak with empathy instead of ego. Every time your voice brings light into someone else's darkness. That's leadership in its purest form. Quiet, steady, and sincere. Remember this. The strength of your leadership doesn't come from how loudly you speak. It comes from how deeply your words reach, leaving your mark. When your career ends, when your achievements fade, when the spotlight moves on, your voice remains. The advice you gave, the encouragement you offered, the vision you shared, those become the echoes that outlive you. You are not just shaping messages. You are shaping people. You are not just building success. You are building legacy. So choose your words with care. Speak with purpose. And never forget, your voice carries power, even in silence. A final message to the listener. As you finish this journey, take a quiet moment to reflect. Think of the voices that once shaped you. The teachers, mentors, parents and friends who spoke life into your path. Now, it's your turn to be that voice for someone else. Your voice can be the calm in someone's chaos. It can be the spark that reignites hope. It can be the truth that gives courage to keep going. So speak boldly, speak honestly, speak with heart, because one day, someone will remember your words and they'll say, "That voice changed the way I see myself." That is your legacy. That is leadership. And it begins, every day, with the courage to use your voice.